It can be very frustrating when you are trying to build a life with someone who is still unintentionally tied to someone else. And you are asking yourself, why can't he see what I see? Welcome back to Before You Do with Verlyn. I'm Coach Verlyn, and I want to see 1 million women be and stay happily married. All right. Here's the thing we have to talk about first of all. Women can see things that men can't see as it relates to other women because we are built for that. We are built to be able to see and recognize tactics that other women use. And it's the same way that men can see tactics of other men as it relates to women. So that's the first thing we have to understand. When we say, why can't he see it? It looks so obvious. It's so blatant. It's because we're women and they simply cannot see what we see. And oftentimes they can't see the way we see, again, as it relates to other women, especially the ex. So let's go ahead and get into this frustrating topic about why your man cannot see what the ex is doing. I can tell you from experience, this is not a quick fix. All right. There are no easy answers. And women, we have to deal with this from a place of logic and not our emotions, especially being frustrated. All right. You got to put on your big girl girdle. And you're saying, what in the world is a girdle? All right. A girdle is an undergarment that they used to wear back in the day, and you slipped it on to keep you tight and to hold you together. All right. It goes underneath, it can't be seen, but it keeps your lower body all together and it holds you tight so stuff won't be jiggling and wiggling all over the place. It's kind of like a slip, obsolete. We don't wear that today, although I do. All right, so what I'm saying to you is you have to hold yourself together and not stay in fight and combat mode with your man. That just creates additional division. You have to move with a certain amount of wisdom and tact when your man cannot see what the ex is doing. And you have to realize this. Number one, he may feel guilty. Often that is the case. He feels guilty because of the breakup or the divorce, especially because children are involved. He's pretty much emotionally hijacked by the ex and or the children. And what that means in his mind, to the best of his ability, he is going to try to spend the rest of his life making up for the breakup, making up for the fact, especially if the child is with the mother primarily or she has full custody and he has visitation, he is going to try to make up for that for the rest of his life because of that guilt. That is not something that you can just push aside. It is something that has to be dealt with. And because, as I have said many times, men want to be a hero. They want to be seen by their children, especially as a hero. Now he feels that they will see him as the enemy. They will see him as the bad guy. They'll see him as a reason why mommy and daddy aren't together. Each case is different. Sometimes it could look like it's the man's fault. It's the woman's fault. I always say it takes two, right? They say it takes two to tangle. However, he does not feel that way. He is most likely going to take on all the burden of being the one who tore the family apart, or again, who caused the breakup. And for a man, that's very hard. Ladies, we have to understand that men feel the protection or the protector vibe. Like they're supposed to keep the family together. They're supposed to hold everybody up. They're supposed to hold everything down. And so when this breakup comes, they're feeling ways that we cannot understand because we are women. We aren't built to be a provider and a protector. All right. They are. And so when they feel like they haven't provided a family, or they haven't protected the children, or whatever the reason is for the divorce, they live with guilt. And unless they learn how to process that guilt, they will spend the rest of their days trying to make up with it for the children so they won't be the bad guy. They will try their best to do everything to make sure they are happy, to overcompensate for the feeling of I'm the cause of the breakup. I failed. We all know there's a difference between being a failure versus failing. Well, men have a hard time with feeling as though they failed something. They failed in marriage. They failed as a husband. They're failing as a father. And they're processing all of this guilt. And the only way they know how to do it is to do and be everything that's going to make that child or those children happy. And that is always attached to the ex. All right. There's no getting around that. So that is a reason, or one of the reasons, he may not see what she's doing in terms of controlling and manipulating, because she's going to milk that guilt for all it's worth. She knows how he feels. She knows that nobody went into it to say, okay, we're going to break up and divorce, right? And so she's going to play on that. Okay, so that's number one, guilt. Number two, habit. Just imagine. Studies have shown, all kind of books and talks, that it takes 21 days to make a habit. Well, imagine they've been married for years, right? Maybe a decade. He is in the habit of seeing things and not seeing them. Why? Because of the good old myth, happy wife, happy life. And so he's probably spent a substantial amount of time seeing bad behavior, but not necessarily calling it out, just kind of dealing with it. He's in a habit, all right? He may not like what she does, but it's familiar to him. It's still in a comfort zone. And so you're saying, don't you see she's doing this? Don't you see she's doing that? Well, that is what he's comfortable with. That's what he's always dealt with. So he's not seeing it as a problem, even though it is very blatant and you see it. And anybody else on the outside looking in may see it, but because that's what he's used to, he's in the habit of overlooking her bad behavior. He's not going to see it. That is another reason. Not necessarily the reason, but that's a second reason. All right. Number three, whenever you're on the inside, especially when it's a complex issue of relationships, it's hard to see reality. There's a word my grandfather always, psychosis. He could be in a psychosis where she's doing all kind of craziness, but he doesn't see it that way. Number one, he is accustomed to moving a certain way with her. He's accustomed to just dealing with her like that. And so you see it as a problem, and he sees it as, this is what we do. All right. He's on the inside. He does not see the same way that you see on the outside. You know how it is. You have these girlfriends and they deal with these men, and that man doesn't have a job. He's dropping her off at work. He's using her car all day long. He's sitting home playing games. He might even be using her car to pick somebody up and be off gallivanting around the city, right? And you're her friend and you're telling her, look, this guy is playing you. He's not anything like what you imagine. You think that he's looking for jobs and he's not. So you're telling her, but she's emotionally involved, okay? She's inside of this complex issue. So all she sees is, he's so sweet. He's so nice. I love him so much. He's so handsome. And you're on the outside saying he's driving around in your car. He doesn't have a job. He's broke. He's playing video games. He's picking up other women in your car. No, he's not for you, right? He's for the streets. And yet your friend is involved emotionally, so she cannot see the same thing that you see. Well, men go through that too, especially involving an ex, and they have built a life together and children are involved. It's a complex situation and they cannot see the same things that you see. You see that she's controlling. You see that she's using the children as a manipulation tool, but he cannot see that because he's in the middle of it. All right. Number four, In lots of cases, there has to be some time that passes before her spell is broken. And I don't mean a literal spell, but in a sense, there has to be some time before the hold that she has is loosed. You have to understand, these children are major. He wants to be there for his children. It can be hard for a man to separate the relationship of the ex and the children because they are so closely knit. I'm not saying or implying that he should see her as an enemy or treat her as such. However, he has to see her detached from the children. That's very complicated. All right. Because it's kind of like a package deal. I remember hearing, and this is when you have older children who understand what they're doing and they can conceptualize, okay, I know my parents aren't together, but I want a certain thing. I want them together, so I'm going to use this, right? And it can be the whole, well, we're a package deal. If you don't deal with mom, you're not going to deal with us. Yeah, they will be that way. When children are older and they understand what's going on and they're trying their best to make sure that your man is not going to be with you or stay with you and they want him back, right, with their mother, yeah, they will tell him in no uncertain terms, okay, now we're talking about grown folks. You don't even have to, as a man, necessarily deal directly with an ex. When you get to the point where you have 18, 19, 20-year-old adult children, that you can communicate with them. But I promise you, and this is going to be in another podcast episode because this is a real thing. Those children who are against you being happy with someone else because you're not with their mother, they will put certain terms on you that say, if you don't deal with my mother, you won't deal with me. If you don't talk to my mother, you're not talking to me. We're a package deal. That can happen. All right. And so if that is in place, that man will be in a tough place. And that's why I said sometime has to pass before that spell is broken because sometimes he's getting it from both ends, the children and the ex. Number 5, sometimes it takes someone else other than you, the wife or the fiance, to point these things out because rest assured, I can almost guarantee you are being painted as an enemy. You are looked at as an interference as to what was. And so, even though your man may not be looking at you like an enemy or interference, he's being fed that. I can promise you that child or those children, if they are old enough, they're making him think she came between us, right? She doesn't belong here. You should be with mommy, all of that. And so you're coming behind and you're saying, hey, she's manipulating. The ex is still calling the shots. Every time she calls you, jump. Whenever I bring up something, you defend her, all of these things. But he can't see it because it's going to take someone else. Sometimes. I'm not saying every single case and every single one of these points apply, but sometimes it takes someone on the outside looking in to point it out. It can be just like being a parent. I can't tell you how many times I can tell my child or one of my children something. I could have been saying it for 10 or 15 years. Yeah, okay, mom. Right. All right. Whatever. And as soon as somebody else that they maybe have some different level of respect for or doing something and moving in a certain way that they look up to, say the same thing one time, and all of a sudden the heavens open and angels sing, and it's a deep revelation that they've never heard before, even though I've only been saying it for 10 or 15 years. Hopefully, it won't take that long for this, ex manipulation to stop. But that's just an example or an analogy of somebody saying the same thing over and over and over because they're close to you and you're thinking they feel some kind of way, right? But somebody else on the outside can come right in and point these things out. And hopefully he'll be able to see it. It sounds a little ridiculous, and I don't know why that is. It's just human nature. Sometimes that person that's really close to us, you're thinking that they're the one that's being emotional and they're seeing something differently. In fact, it's the person involved that has emotions. Okay. So sometimes it's going to take a little effort from somebody else. Number six, that ex knows all the right buttons to push, whether they've been together 2 years, 3 years, two children, three children. She knows him. She knows the right words that will draw him back into that world, the old world. This can be tough, but it doesn't make it any less true. She's saying things that she knows he has wanted to hear. She's doing things. Again, she has a level of control. And that's because of the familiarity, because she knows him. And all those buttons that she can push gets him going. And then you come and you say she's doing this, she's doing that. You're pushing some other buttons, the nagging button, the complaining button. That's why he can't see, because she knows him. She knows the right buttons to push. She knows the right words to draw him back, right, into that old world. She knows him. And because of this bond that they once share, he's not always able to see that she's manipulating, that she's controlling, that she's using him. She is working hard to put a wedge between the life he's trying to build, which would be a life away with you, and draw him back into the life that he lived with her. Number seven, and this can be really tough, but it's true. He plain old does not want to see it, because if he sees it, he has to acknowledge it. And then what does he have to do? He's got to deal with it, right? He does not want to deal with it. It may not be purposely, but subconsciously. Maybe he feels he does not have the capacity, the bandwidth to see all of the drama she's bringing, to see the chaos that she's bringing, to know that he's still being manipulated, and to have to admit that and deal with it. And so, what does that mean? He may be looking right at it, but he's not trying to see it. I'll say it again. He's looking right at it, but he's not wanting to see it. Why? Sometimes we just don't want to do the hard things. Sometimes he knows that if he deals with her behavior, if he sees it, it's going to cause a whirlwind of events and consequences. And again, he's trying to do all he can to make up for the breakup. And therefore, he doesn't want to wake up to what is right in front of him. Now, saying all that is why I said this is not going to be easy, ladies, that you have to use tact. You have to be patient, all right? Navigating through this is a task, but it can be done. If you're already married, then we're going to go through again some actionable steps. First of all, I'm just laying stuff out. I'm putting it out, saying, look, I see you. I've been you. I understand you. All right. However, if you're not married yet, again, you need to evaluate or reevaluate. Am I ready to deal with this for a very long time? I won't say forever, although you may be seeing this ex forever, because the ex and your man has grown children at this point. So you're like, whoo, we're good to go. Maybe not, because those children are going to have graduations, and they're going to have children, and they're going to have weddings, and they're going to have cookouts, and all of these things where you will probably gather, and that ex will be there. Maybe she's mature, maybe not so much. So what I'm saying is there's always going to be that ex involved. There's no getting around that unless you cut that child off, which we know that is not the goal here. We're talking about navigating. We're not talking about escaping. Two different things, all right? So what do you do to deal with this? There are ways. As I said, actionable steps. We're going to discuss that in my next episode. Thank you for joining me. Please make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe button. All right. Please share out with a few friends, 3 or 4 of your friends that you know this would help, or at least bring some aha moments of, yes, she gets me. Yes, she understands what I'm going through. and that you're not alone. Make sure you visit my website at verlyntarleton.com. That's V as in Victor, ERLYNARLTON.com, and pick up your freebies. And in the meantime, may you experience extraordinary love. Bye for now.